He's so zen right now, so peaceful, so calm and focused, so in the moment. That's one present brother right there. Enlightenment is surely on his way. Whoa. Whoops. Quiet, quiet, right. My bad, my bad. Shh, shh. I got it. I feel as though meditation has become a mainstream practice in recent years. For people, whether they're spiritual or not, I notice people are turning to it as a form of self-care and self-love. And as someone completely new to the practice, I decided I wanted to try it out for myself. So I decided I want to commit the next 10 days to meditating. So for 10 days, 30 minutes a day, meditating, and this video will be kind of documenting that experience. And I'm kind of surprised that it's taken me so long to really get into the practice of meditation, because the way I am, I'm into self-discovery, I'm into self-development and trying new things and trying to add routines to my life that will help better myself. And this kind of seems right up the alley for that. So it should be a great experience. I think one of the reasons I never considered doing meditation in the past, and maybe a lot of people don't either, is because there's a general misconception about what meditation is. For a lot of people, especially growing up, our only reference to meditation was what we saw in movies, which is typically monks dressed in their spiritual garb. And there's this impression that it's a very deeply spiritual practice that when done right, you're able to like transform your reality and transcend space and time and all this deep spiritual stuff, as if it's limited to people that are of that specific culture. And the reality is it's not that deep. It can be a very simple thing that you can do any minute, any 5 minutes you have throughout the day. And as I started getting more and more into yoga for physical benefits for me, I started becoming more and more comfortable with the concept of mindfulness. And with yoga, meditation is very similar in that conversation. So I became more comfortable with that, and I realized, you know what? I think meditation will be good for me. I think I want to try that out. You don't have to be a monk. You don't have to have your head shaved and bald to meditate. Although, maybe it helps connect with the universe a little bit more. I don't know. And so that's what this video is going to be about, sharing my experiences and my thoughts for over the next 10 days of practicing this practice. Hope you enjoy. So doing that was a lot harder than I expected. I feel kind of disappointed in myself because I feel like the whole time I was struggling just to maintain my breath, just to maintain my clarity of thought. And my mind it was just so loud, constantly thinking about things I'm not pleased with, or things, or what I'm gonna say when the video's done, or random things that were like, random like images popping into my head, random thoughts. I think about something for 5 minutes and then realize I lost my breath. I lost focusing on my breath. And so I feel like I was a little bit disappointed, but I think that's also like having expectations going into it is wrong to begin with. And it felt a lot longer than it was. It didn't, I thought that it would have went by quicker, and I found myself constantly thinking, like, did my phone not get set, or did I not set it to the right time? It was challenging. I don't necessarily feel better after having done it the first day, but I'm sure it'll change as I go along, and then I hope to see what the outcome is as I continue on. So I just finished the 30 minutes for day 2, and a lot like day 1, my mind was just crowded with constant thoughts coming in. For some reason, a lot of song lyrics were coming in, a lot of thoughts about what I plan on doing today and things I need to get done, and just stuff that that come in when you're not consciously trying to think of something. I will say that it went a lot faster than the day 1. I felt like I was only in it for about 20 minutes. I was also noticing, because usually I'm thinking about my breath, but when when the fridge humming comes on, I tried focusing on that instead of connecting to my breath. When the air conditioner and the furnace systems came on, I tried focusing on like connecting to that instead of my breath. But the problem is they don't actually continue on, they stop. And then I have to reconnect with my breath in order to find something to focus on. It was challenging again, but I hope that as I continue to go on, I'll be able to better maintain a consistent focus on my breath. The thing I found about meditation is that it's the one part of the day where you are experiencing reality for what it is. Because every other part of the day, whether you're at work, whether you're with your family, whether you're by yourself, your mind's always putting judgments on things. It's adding meaning to whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you experience. When you're meditating, you're ideally taking your thoughts and clearing your mind. So what you experience is what reality is. It's the sounds, the sensations, the breath, the focus on your breath. You're experiencing reality in its most rawest form. because there's no input from your experiences in your mind and your thoughts and your perceptions, your judgments. None of that stuff is there. So it's interesting because other than when you're meditating, you're never really clearing your mind. Even when you sleep, you're not clearing your mind. If anything, when you're sleeping, you're letting your subconscious mind go crazy. When you're awake and going throughout your day, you're letting your conscious mind go crazy. Whereas when you're meditating, you're trying to clear all that out, and you're just experiencing right now for what it is: quiet, alone. You smell what you smell, you hear what you hear, you feel what you feel. The sensations you're acknowledging is reality in its rawest form. So is it good or bad? Is it positive or negative? Not really. It's neither. It's just an observation I've had that having that level of solitude is so rare outside of practices where you're intentionally being mindful. So um, just a thought, really. All right, so that's day 4. Just finished up. See, my goal is, first of all, this day 4 practice was probably the clearest it's been so far. My mind was relatively calm. I make it more challenging for myself because I resist the urge to scratch at all, and my legs are obviously crossed, and I'm not like I don't. That's not a comfortable position for me. So keeping it there requires a lot of kind of willpower and self-control. And so by the end, when I take my legs out of that position, I have to go so slow. Really, even right now, it's super sore, but it was great. My mind was pretty clear, and yeah, I think this is getting better. I think I'm improving my ability to come back to my breath and attach myself to certain things. Like, for example, I heard crickets outside, so for part of the practice, I was connecting to the sound of the crickets, and then once that kind of stopped, I would just come back to my breath, go back to the air conditioning when that went on, and it was good. So I'm looking forward to continuing. With meditation, you often hear a phrase which is let go. So when you're meditating, just let go. And what they mean is, like, if you have a thought coming in your mind, once you acknowledge it, like once you see it, just let it go and then go back to your breath. And then if you get an itch, just experience it and let it go and then move on. And sometimes I wonder, as I'm meditating, do I like feel that itch and I let go as in not scratch it and let it eventually go away? Or do I get the itch and let go as in like scratch it and then get back to like meditating? There's different ways to interpret that. And so sometimes some of these meditations, before it started, I set my mind to where if I do feel a sensation, I'm gonna ignore it and I'm not gonna touch it. If I feel a scratch or an itch or whatever, I don't let it bother me. And then sometimes I do the opposite, and then I just scratch it and move on and get into my practice. Because a whole 20 minutes I can have an itch. My whole focus is on resisting that itch. And to me, that's kind of interrupting the meditation. So I just finished the 5th day of meditation. I think it's the 5th day. So this time I wanted to try doing like guided meditation using one of the meditation apps. I was going to use Headspace, but then I didn't feel like paying for it. And there wasn't any good options for free. So I downloaded this app called Let's Meditate. So it's a free app. Probably not as good as Headspace is, but it has enough options for me to try out. So I tried out a 36-minute guided meditation. My thoughts on it: if the purpose of doing meditation for you, if you're going to be trying it, if your purpose is trying to just calm your mind in that moment, and all you care about is just clearing your mind in that moment, then I think guided meditation is great. If you're trying to build up the willpower and ability to be able to clear your mind on your own and bring yourself back to the now, back to the present, then if that's kind of a skill you're trying to develop, then I don't think guided meditations are that great for that, because it's too easy. Just to be honest, I feel like I wasn't at all struggling with my mind, which is a good thing, but it's because I'm listening to the soft, nice music and the man or woman on the guided meditation talking and listening to understanding their words and being aware of what they're saying, and they're telling you to pay attention to the feeling in your feet and then your calf and then your knees and your hips and your back. So I mean, it's guided, right? So it's easy. But for me personally, I'm trying to develop a skill that I can carry with me whether or not I have my phone with me, you know what I mean? So I want to develop the skill of being able to clear my mind, come back to my breath, come back to the present at any moment. and I don't want to have to rely on guided meditation. So if you're trying to develop the skill of grounding yourself, then probably not the best option. If you're just looking for something to help you clear your mind in that moment, and all you care about is just being able to turn to something on the bad days or on the challenging days, then sure, it's probably something good for you. I can understand why people pay $20 a month for these type of meditation apps. But at the end of the day, you don't need an app. You don't need to pay anything to meditate. It's free, right? It's just as simple as focusing on your breath or focusing on a sound or a word or a concept or a thought, a feeling possibly. But for the most part, I think I'm going to try to develop my ability to meditate just on my own, not using a guided app. So that's my feedback. That's my review on that. Okay, so today I tried something different. I believe it's day 6. So today I tried something different. I tried 2 different things. One is my normal way of meditating, which is just trying to be aware of my thoughts and then clearing my thought as soon as I see it and returning to my breath, returning to the present moment. That's what most people do when they meditate, which is great. It helps you to be able to develop a skill of being able to become more aware of your thoughts, positive or negative, and then be able to, if it serves you, clear that thought, especially for negative ones or thoughts that are not self-serving, clear that thought and then return to your breath. But then what I also wanted to do is the opposite of that. I wanted to give myself permission to let my thoughts go wherever they needed to go. Because throughout the day so much, when you wake up and you start thinking a little bit, but then you have to clear that off and cut it off because you have to go focusing on, taking a shower, eating your breakfast, drinking water, getting ready for work. And then you're going for work, you're in traffic, and your thoughts start to wander positively to a positive place. And then it gets cut off because of some guy that cuts in front of you in traffic or whatever. Then you get to work and you don't have time for your thoughts to flow. And then you get home and you're dealing with kids, you're cooking the food, you're going to the gym, doing your yoga, whatever. And very rarely do I think we have an opportunity to let our thoughts go to a deeper level. It's usually very shallow, and then something interrupts us, and then shallow, and then something interrupts us. So what I wanted to do is the opposite of clearing the normal type of meditation, where you're clearing your thought and focusing on your breath, which I'll call restrictive meditation for this purpose, and do what I'm going to call unconditional meditation, where it's, in my case, giving myself 30 minutes of time to just let my thoughts go to a deeper level by just letting it wander. So finding thoughts that are helpful to me, and this is great for people that I think are creative in nature, and allowing your thoughts to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper without having to worry about being interrupted. Keeping your phone in airplane mode, being in a position where you can meditate freely without people interrupting you, and then allowing your thoughts to go deep. And this is the opposite. So the first one is restrictive, what I'm calling restrictive meditation, and then the second one is what I'm calling unconditional meditation. There's no conditions. You're purposely allowing your thoughts to go deep. And then I think that will allow people to get to a level in their thinking that they usually can't go. Because with depth, I don't know about you, but for me, usually right before I go to sleep, as my mind starts to wander off into the dream state, somewhere between being like fully conscious and then fully asleep, there's this middle spot. And in that middle spot, my depth of thinking goes way, way deeper than ever before. And not only is it deep, but it's clear. So I'm thinking if I can get myself to get to a position where I'm that on purpose, it will allow my creativity and my ability to explore my thoughts. It'll go a lot more easier. It'll be a lot more convenient. So there's a certain peace experienced while meditating. As time goes on, and as I spend more time experiencing meditation, that peace starts to creep into other areas of my life, where I instinctively return to my breath. I return to the raw reality at times throughout the day. It's just that between calls at work, or when you're driving, or you're in the shower while you're eating food, and you really start tasting the food. You really start smelling smells when you're out and about. Because if you notice, if you really take the time to notice, you'll realize that when you walk outside your house, it's a different smell. Sit inside your car, it's a different smell. When you're in the grocery store, it's a different smell. Throughout the day, we're in environments where there's a different smell. As you become more mindful, and as I practice meditation, and I get used to coming back to my breath, I become noticing these things more and more automatically, out of habit. Even when I get hurt or experience pain in some form, it's like I'm able to look at that pain, acknowledge it, recognize it's there, but not let it affect my reaction. Some people, when they stub their toe, for the next 10 minutes, they're walking around limping and they're all making a big deal about it. And the reality is, all that stuff isn't necessary. You experience pain, you feel it, you acknowledge it, you watch that pain, and then you move on. All the other stuff we do is all extra. Maybe it's just to make us feel better about that pain, but it's all added on stuff. During the 10 days, there's a book called 10% Better that I've heard recommended by a lot of people. It's not a spiritual book, but it is a book about meditation and mindfulness. In a nutshell, it's about this guy, I forget his name, but he was a journalist. He was very skeptical about this type of thing, and the whole book is kind of showing you how meditation in his life that was very stressful allowed him to get 10% better. And his only goal was to be 10% better. And if meditation can make me 10% better, then it's all worth it. And I thought that was really interesting. It was a really interesting book. I finished it. And I think it's a great book for skeptics, for people that are not at all religious or spiritual, and they might think they have a certain perception of meditation, but they're open to it. And if you're open to it, that book 10% Better is a great one to read, because it doesn't give you like step-by-step directions on how to meditate or anything like that. It's not a guidebook, but it's a great story of this guy sharing his life experiences and all the stress and BS that he had to deal with, and how meditation helped. And it didn't completely change his life. It just made his life 10% better. And I think that's a great goal to seek, just making your life 10% better. So it's a good thing to check out. I'd recommend that. I realized there's only been one time in my life where I meditated, and I didn't know if I was meditating right or not at the time. But this is how it went. I was in New York one time visiting some family, and I was at a basketball court. And as I was there, I noticed the clouds changing, and it was gonna rain. So I started walking home, and then on my walk, the rain started picking up, becoming harder and harder. So I started jogging, I started running, and it was just too far away. So as I was running, I was getting completely drenched. I was soaked from like my socks, my shoes, my clothes, everything was soaked. So by the time I got back to the house, since I was so wet already, I was just like, you know what? It kind of feels nice out here. Let me just go in the backyard. So I went to the backyard, and there's this little trampoline. You know those small trampolines? It was one of those. So I just sat on the trampoline. It was pouring rain. I sat on the trampoline, just crossed my legs, closed my eyes, and decided that this would be a cool environment to meditate. First time I ever did it in my life. Didn't know much about it, but I said, let me just. I feels nice, so it just feels like the right thing to do right now. So I just sat on this trampoline, closed my eyes, as the rain is just pouring on me. It's just hitting me everywhere, completely soaked. And I just listened. I just felt the rain. I just listened to it, heard the birds. I was just sitting there and just clearing my mind and experiencing the raw reality. And at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't think I was meditating right. And it turns out I was meditating. Like, that was me actually meditating, and it was a beautiful environment to do that. I don't know if you ever get the opportunity to do it, but if you can sit outside in the pouring rain and just completely ignore the fact that you're being drenched, because I had all my clothes on. I wasn't comfortable to be soaking wet in all your clothes, but at that point I had no choice. So it was a great experience, and that was my first experience meditating. And so it turns out I knew what I was doing a little bit, I guess. I don't know. So these past 10 days have been interesting. I started getting into this idea of meditation as a result of kind of just going through some maybe kind of sad, depressive type days. And I've learned that meditation a lot of people use to kind of get themselves out of that lower rut during times of depression and whatnot. And it definitely helps, because it grounds you. It brings you back to the moment, and allows you to clear your mind of all the things that are distracting you and that are putting you through this emotional roller coaster that has you in a saddened or depressive state. And now the question is, do I expect to continue meditating every day for 30 minutes? The answer is no. I don't. I know I won't commit to that. As much value and benefit as I get from, or I've gotten from these past days of meditating, it's not something I want to do every day. But I do think it's important to be able to be comfortable meditating. And here and there, on some days, I might do 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I probably won't do a half an hour, because every time I've meditated, sometimes it's went quick, sometimes it's felt longer. But each time, around the 20-minute point, I start wondering, what time it is. I kind of get out of it. So I think for me, 15 to 20 minutes is a maximum. But I can definitely see myself doing like 5 minutes every morning or 5 minutes a lot of mornings. I think it's a great practice to get involved with, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it the past 10 days. So I hope you gained something from it. Maybe you'll consider doing it. Maybe you're an absolute champ at meditating already, and you you want to share some things in the comments. Feel free to do so. I'd appreciate that. But let me know. Have you meditated before? Have you thought about it? If you're someone that meditates regularly, what are your thoughts and feelings about it? How does it make you feel better? How does it set your day up for a better day? Maybe if you do it before bed, how does that affect your morning? How does that affect your state of mind? Let me know down in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. I have a lot of learning to do myself. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button below. If you want to see more videos like this regarding self-discovery and just what I call becoming the hero of your story, then hit the subscribe button below. Hit the bell notification to get notified when a new video gets put out. I appreciate you watching the video. Take care. Peace.